Everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome to my channel. We are in the midst of my top favorite makeup products per category of the year 2024, and I have decided to divide these up into shorter videos so it's not so overwhelming, and I'm choosing my top 3 per category. And today we're going to be talking about eye products. Notice I am not saying eye palettes because this hasn't really been the year of palettes for me. I was in my single shadow era for the majority of 2024. So while I do have a couple of what you would consider palettes, more like quads, I am going to be talking about just my favorite shades and formulas that I have loved this year. Now, I did not limit this to 3. I'm going to be talking about 4 because I just couldn't choose. I mean, there's no other reason for it. Excuse my voice. I have a little bit of a cough. At least I have a voice. 2 days ago, I couldn't even whisper. So let's jump in. I will talk about my 2 favorite single shadows, hands down, of the year first. And the first one is actually what I have on my eyes today. And it is from Chanel. And it is their Ombre Essential multi-use long wearing eyeshadow, which I do believe was launched in 2024. I have multiple shades of these. I've talked about them in many videos if you want to search my channel, but this one is probably my favorite of all of the shades, and it is called Beige Suede. And it is one of the matte formulas, and it just looks like a very boring matte shade in the pan, which to me always translates to a pretty shade on the lid. So again, I have it on my lids today. I have a little bit of liner smudged out, and that is it. And I have worn this shade this way so many times I can't count this year. It is just, to me, very put together, very sophisticated, very no fuss, obviously, and basically goes with everything. While the shadow itself has a little bit of tendency to lean warm, it's still neutral enough to go with everything, in my opinion. So if I absolutely just don't know what to choose for the day, or if I'm in a big hurry, I will reach for this. And my second favorite shadow, I don't know if this came out in the collection this year, but I know they made it part of their permanent collection this year. And this is the Chantecaille Luminescent Eye Shade in Mustang. Talked about this recently, especially before their Black Friday sale. It is my favorite of all the luminescent eyeshadows, although I love all of them. But if I had to absolutely pick one, it would be this one. There is something about it. It's just the perfect bronze sheen to the lids. It's not too much shimmer, but it's definitely not matte. And it is definitely not as shimmery as a lot of the other luminescent shades in the collection. So if you have those and you feel like they're too shimmery and sparkly, I would still recommend trying this one because it just doesn't compare at the level of sparkle. It goes with everything. It's great with a bronzer in the crease. It's also great all by itself, blended up into the crease. It's absolutely gorgeous. I have 2 of them now, one in my professional kit and one in my own collection, because I find myself using it on my clients and myself all the time. Now let's talk about a couple of palettes. And when I say palettes, I'm not meaning big ones, because again, I didn't reach for a ton of those this year, despite having a ton in my collection. This particular quad, this is the first shade, or I guess, yeah, color quad that I got from this collection in April. And since then, I have added 2 more quads to my collection, and it is the YSL Couture Mini Clutch. And I do think this is still my favorite out of the 3 that I have. This is in the shade 200. Now, all of these clutches come with, I don't want to say all, the majority of them come with at least 2 matte shades, some 3, like this one has more like 3 matte shades. This one might be considered more of a satin. And then like a topper or a sparkly, some would say glitter. I just find it to be a very sparkly topper. It doesn't have fall down or anything on me. And they are just all so well put together, as quads should be, but I don't always find the case to be. As far as color combinations, a full look out of them, something really easy to put together if you're like, I don't know what to put in the crease, I don't know what to put in the outer corner, I don't know what to use as eyeliner, I don't know what to use to add sparkle. I mean, it's basically laid out for you perfectly in these quads. And the formula is absolutely divine. It is super buttery soft. There is kick up. I don't mind that. That doesn't mean it's a bad shadow, in my opinion. It just means I need to knock off my brush before I apply shadow. Not a big deal. But because they are so soft, there is going to be a little bit of kick up. But there's just something about the ease of use, the ease of blendability, the right amount of pigment, and just how my looks always turn out good when I use these quads, despite them only being 4 shadows. And I know a lot of people don't like big palettes because they don't want to have to think about, well, I don't know what to use where. And that's where a good, nicely well put together curated palette comes in. And that is the YSL Mini Couture Clutch quads, in my opinion. And then finally, I really got onto the Surratt eyeshadow train this year. I don't know what took me so long. I had one. This is a palette I made myself. I had Zibelline last year, but because it was kind of by itself, which you can leave them by themselves, they come with a cover, and not in a palette, I just didn't find myself reaching for it as much, which doesn't make sense considering I was in my single shadow era. But once I started adding more to my collection and kind of made my own palette, I just use them all the time, and it's so pretty. I'm gonna insert a swatch picture real quick. I don't wanna leave it up too long because I do wanna get to my demo. You can pause it and screenshot it if you want, of the shadows in this particular palette. They are, to me, the definition of subtle luxury. I use them in my subtle look, and I used 2 shades from Surratt in that, and it just comes out so pretty every time. I don't know that I would ever put too much of one of these shades on because of how, again, subtle. I need to look up the thesaurus for another word. They are on the eye. They're easily built up, but it's definitely not too much pigment on its own. Now, they also come out with curated palettes that they sell together, and I do have one of those. This is the Les Roses palette. So it has 4 shades in it, more on the pinky side, other than this one, which is, they don't make anything easy to read for old eyes. It's funny, it's called Dore Rosé, but there's nothing like rosy about that at all. It's more yellow, but it still works with this palette. So they do have a few other ones. They have a couple that are curated with a couple shadows and a blush, and then they have another more neutral brown shade in this. They're just really, really pretty. If you haven't tried Surratt eyeshadows, there is something very special about the formula. And that is it. That is a compilation of my most reached for favorite eye shades and formulas of the year 2024. As always, let me know what your favorites were down in the comment section below, and stay tuned for the next video. I only have a couple more to go, but I do still have a lot to talk about. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.